There is a strange principle in history. The small detail is often the one that betrays the truth. Welcome to the Sebcast, the home of the #1 network for your life. This is where we hear stories anew, look deeper, and discover together how Jesus works today. When people make up stories, they usually make them neat. Heroes act heroically. The story flows logically. Everything fits together nicely. But when people describe a real event, something else happens. Then you get the small, strange details, the kind of detail no one would make up. An awkward moment, an unexpected reaction, a small detail that actually isn't necessary for the story. Historians know that's often where the truth lies. Take, for example, the Gospels. If you wanted to start a new religion in the 1st century, you would probably build your story very strategically. Your hero would look strong, your followers would be credible, your message would be clear and dramatic. But that's not what we get. We get disciples who are afraid, we get people who doubt, we get a Messiah who suffers. And then we get something even stranger, a small, almost everyday detail that actually isn't necessary for the story. This brings us to an interesting Bible verse that many people overlook. In John 21:9, it says, "When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it, and some bread." That's it. Not a dramatic scene, not a theological explanation, just breakfast. But here's the question: why would someone include such a detail? Because truth differs from propaganda. True memories include ordinary moments. It's like when someone tells you a story about an important day in their life. They don't just remember the big event, they also remember the smell of the coffee, the sound of a door, and the weather that morning. The small detail shows that someone was there. And that's exactly how the Gospels work. They don't just tell a theology, they tell memories. The first Christians didn't try to write a perfect story, they tried to explain what they had seen. And that kind of faith, a faith rooted in real events, is very different from a faith built only on ideas. Ideas inspire people for a moment, but events change people for a lifetime. That's why the Christian faith has always been more than a set of principles. It's a story of something that happened, something people saw, heard, and experienced. And when faith starts with something that really happened, it changes how you live. It changes how you work, how you love, and how you see your neighbors. That's exactly what we as a congregation aim to be, not just people with good ideas about faith, but a primary network for your life, a community where faith becomes visible in the ordinary details of everyday life, at home, at work, and in the places where we play. Because sometimes the greatest changes in the world don't start with big speeches, but with a small detail. In most of our lives, we wait for big dramatic moments before we believe God is working. But many times God works precisely in the small details of an ordinary day, in a conversation, an invitation, or a moment when someone cares for you. This week, start deliberately noticing the small things. Where do you see God's hand in the ordinary rhythm of your life, at home, at work, or among friends? Great faith often begins when we learn to notice God in small moments. Until tomorrow, take care.